What's up? It's your boy D Change coming at you with another Daily Dave. Just kidding, I really shouldn't be saying that. I didn't even do one of these videos for my last birthday. Oh wait, I was in Japan and I Oh, there was a really good story that I didn't get to tell. Oh my gosh, I just realized that. Oh, dude, I just saw like my spit fly. That's terrible. Oh my gosh. Being a YouTuber sucks. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so today was my first day working from home in quite a while, and there's a reason for that. It's because of COVID-19. So it's weird. I get distracted pretty easily, so being at home kind of difficult for me to I guess adjust to that. Like, hey, you got to work in this environment now. I'm working on it. It's a work in progress, so we'll deal with that. Um, Ironically, I am going into the office tomorrow because the power company is going to be performing maintenance tomorrow all day, so they could shut the power off at any time. Fantastic. So, other than that, though, we'll see if this situation continues. Because at least at my office, we are going to see if we will be working from home on a week by week basis. So, whereas other people already have kind of like a notice that says, hey, for the next month or two, work from home or some sort of mandate. And then there's other people who still have to go in purely because of the nature of their work or their workplace is just not going to do that or whatever. So, anyway, yeah, let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is COVID-19, this new novel virus disease that's been spreading around the world. Um, if you haven't already unfollowed me or unfriended me, you would know that I'm pretty interested in this virus. I'm concerned about it, and I think for good reasons. I know that on the two extreme ends of the spectrum, you've got, this is the end of the world. I need to stock up on as many supplies as I can and hide in my bunker. And then there's the whole this is fake news. It was invented by the Democrats and China in order to destroy the American empire or whatever, something like that. So the truth tends to be somewhere in the middle. Is this just the flu? No, I wouldn't say that. And yes, on an annual basis, the flu kills many tens of thousands of Americans every year. And for some reason, that is a cost that we are willing to pay as a nation. That being said, what makes this specific virus interesting, or its strains, because there's two identifiable strains so far, unless there's been an update to that. What makes this virus interesting is that it's fairly contagious, and it has a long incubation period, so it spreads easily. It can stick around in a human body for a while. The fatality is not too bad. It's about, I believe it's about 10 to 20 times the flu, though, depending on the person. And here's the part. For the older populations, it's a pretty, the fatality rate goes up. So if you're like really young, say a teenager or younger, and even early 20s, the fatality rates tend to be in the 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 percentage area. But once you go into the senior citizens and the elderly, you're looking at double digits, like 10% plus fatality rates. So that's kind of the thing you have to think about in this situation. Whereas with the flu, I'm not gonna say it's like a flat rate, obviously. But the yearly flu, the annual flu, is like a 0.1% fatality rate in general. So there's kind of that concern. Yeah, so for me, I have, senior citizen bordering elderly parents. I'm concerned for them. I don't want to be bringing in this virus into our home. So, um, I want to do whatever I can in order to prevent that. And another thing is, I guess it's just I mean, I get the whole anxiety thing really easily, so I love pain. I bought a Pixel 4. Just kidding. Um, and I love reading up on this stuff that seems really scary. Uh, Now I try not to freak out over it. To be fair, like I've stopped reading the subreddits. On Reddit, there's like a handful of coronavirus subreddits, and it's all doom and gloom. It's all it's all panic. It's all blame game. It's absolutely nuts over there. So I would not recommend getting your information from there. I only go there if I am looking for new updated interactive maps. Sometimes like regional news, and sometimes the scientific discussion is interesting, but there are people. I've read that there are some dubious claims there as well. You need to do your own homework and fact checking, as you should do in today's age of information overload, really. So, and that goes with me too. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. I'm not an epidemiologist. Don't trust my word for it. Go do your own research and come to your own conclusion if you have to. Um, so yeah, that's the big deal with this virus. And what this means though is that since it is new, since a lot of people are catching it, and potentially there's a lot of infected people, um, I believe it's 5% of people who catch this virus need to be hospitalized. So it doesn't sound like much, but if it spreads so easily and over time it spreads undetected, this can lead to a huge amount of people being infected and a huge amount of people needing to go to the hospital all at one time. So that's a major concern, is that we don't want to overload the hospitals and our clinics. So that's why the government recommendation right now is, unless your symptoms are severe, do not come to the hospital. Do not call them. You're basically gonna have to ride it out as if it is the flu. So it's, I don't know, it's kind of like worrisome and stuff like that. Anyway, I try to get my information from doctors, nurses, epidemiologists, virologists, stuff like that. I've been listening to a lot of interviews with different medical practitioners in the field, and so I've heard the more conservative estimates of like, yeah, about 20% of the population will be infected by the end of the year or something like that, and we're gonna get through it. It's gonna be fine. And I've also heard, hey, this is probably like biggest um the biggest viral disaster we've had in the last few decades. Like the only thing you can compare this to, so to speak, is the Spanish flu pandemic of 1918. Um, but that was like way worse. So we're not at that point where like, I hope not. Anyway, I don't think we're gonna get to that point. But there's also the reference of like SARS and MERS, and yes, there was some relevance because those were also coronaviruses, right? At least SARS was. See, that's why you have to fact check for yourself, because I might be making shit up now. Anyway, um, the difference is those were not as contagious. Their fatality rates were higher, but they were not spreading as easily. This is spreading really easily. It's only been, I think, I was watching a video earlier today, and it's only been what, 10 weeks since the is that oh my gosh, yeah, about 10 weeks since at least it kind of like left China and just spread all over the place. So, or at least or did they first find it in China during that time? Anyway, it's been really quick to move, and that's its problem. So what can we do about it? That's what I wanted to get at. Is this is why I'm a terrible YouTuber. We're 9 minutes in and I haven't said anything, right? No, but so what we should be doing is we should be doing everything we can to prevent the spread of the virus, because again, we don't want to overload the healthcare system. So, what can we do? We can wash our hands with soap for 20 seconds. And if you need a demonstration, go to YouTube, look up how to wash your hands. But it basically involves putting the soap around your hands and basically covering every inch of, where your hands could be exposed to pathogens. Don't touch your face. That technically isn't like a super important thing. So I hear because this transfers through droplets. So if you cough or sneeze, those droplets can contain the virus, and that's how it spreads. If that gets into someone else's mouth or someone's eye, then oops. But if you're literally just like touching, I don't know, your face just because, I hear the chances aren't that high. It's good to avoid that anyway, though, because there are other illnesses that you can get from just like shoving your hands in your face all the time. So that's one. That's another thing you can do. And the big thing right now is social distancing, because at least in the U.S., we are at the point where now our states and counties and cities are declaring states of emergency. Restaurants are now closed and takeout only, at least in California. I don't know about everywhere else. And yeah, all group gatherings larger than 10 people in my region are now discouraged. So that basically means, no parties, no get-togethers, no movie theaters, yada yada yada. I mean, even retail stores are closing down all their locations temporarily. So yeah, that means, it's fine if you want to just take a walk by yourself in the empty neighborhood, or, walk to the park and come back. But, do not congregate, do not move in a group of people. I hear in other countries, police are now on the lookout for stuff like that. Like if they see groups of people, they'll break them up. They'll tell them, hey, you can't do this. Either, go home or like spread out. I think the distance to maintain with people is about 6 feet. I know in China, in the elevators, like they'll section them off so that people have some distance between each other. Man, I wonder how this works in Tokyo. Geez, because I remember the elevators over there were always packed. That's another thing, like not very possible for a lot of people, but don't use public transit, right? Um, I, on the other hand, live in California where public transit is not exactly a thing. I mean, I drive everywhere, so that doesn't apply to me necessarily. So yeah, social distancing is literally just if you can do something and you're not around people, then it's probably fine. But if you're gonna put yourself in a position where you'll be in a crowd, probably not the greatest thing to do. Only do that if it's a necessity. And necessities tend to be something like you need to go get food, you need to gather supplies, such as prescription medication you might need, or if you have, severe symptoms of this disease. So yeah, I mean, it's a bummer. I know a lot of people have been posting like, "Oh, I'm so inconvenienced by this. I have to wait in lines for stuff," or "Oh my gosh, I can't have my party," or "I can't have my events, can't see my friends." Like, I get it. It sucks, but I don't know. Please try to think about the bigger picture, which is the state of public health in our communities. There are a lot of elderly people in this nation. There are a lot of immunocompromised people, people with cancer, people with cystic fibrosis, people with disabilities, people who have immune systems who cannot cope as well with a disease like this. So keep those people in mind when it comes to the choices you make. That's the whole idea behind vaccines, herd immunity, so we can protect the weak. What's that saying that Dr. Campbell has? Healthcare is by the people, for the people, of the people. I mean, it's like the whole like liberty thing, right? Um, but yeah, that's how you can do your part in this whole mess, is to maintain good hygiene, sanitize, and for the meantime, you know, avoid contracting and spreading the disease, because you could easily carry the virus without having the symptoms, and it's a little scary. So make sure to get your information from credible sources. And I know everyone always says this, but it's very difficult to determine like who that is. In my case, I would listen to, say, the CDC and my local jurisdictions. Healthcare systems, as well as the state-run health regulators. You could also listen to, doctors, virologists, epidemiologists, people who specialize in the study of viruses and illness and stuff like that. And yeah, if you need to, watch multiple videos from different people, read multiple articles from different points of view, and it's, you can come to your own conclusion as to what you need to do. But I think I think it is good to have some sort of government mandate that discourages, group gatherings and discourages the spread of the virus. Because, yeah, again, that's just not something we need to be dealing with right now. Don't worry too much about the stock market and all your money getting evaporated. The economy will bounce back eventually. But I do worry about, say, like the homeless population and contract workers and people who are living paycheck to paycheck. So think about the consequences, or think about the problems they have to face, just for a little bit, because we're all in this together. That's the message I wanted to get out. We can work together to get through this. So, ironically, I'm not recording this in like a necessary quarantine time. It's after normal working hours. But yeah, I don't know what's next. I mean, I've been thinking, if if we have to stay at home for very long periods of time. I mean, I've already had some ideas of what I would want to do, like what kind of projects I would want to work on. One of them is that Japan video series I've been thinking about for quite a while. I mean, pretty soon it's going to be 2 years since I've come back from Japan. Pretty soon I will have spent more time back home than I did living in Japan, at least for that temporary amount of time, right? So that's going to be interesting. And I want to tell that story. It was quite the adventure. And there was the trip I took last year in the fall of 2019, which was very interesting as well. Um, Podcast. Would I work on a podcast? Like, actually, yeah. Like, that's been something that's been on my mind for a while. That's been stewing. I've been wanting to kind of create another website again. One more professional, one maybe like a blog or something, or I just really want to scratch that creative itch that I have. So, and then of course, I might want to revisit streaming on Twitch. I had a really fun time playing the game Total War Three Kingdoms, like not too long ago, but it would basically ruin my life. So, uh, I am very wary of starting that up again. But if we, again, if we have to be stuck indoors for long periods of time, might have to consider that. But yeah, just streaming in general, like there are a lot of games and activities that you can look into these days. So yeah, not entirely sure, but I would like to at least make a video like this every now and then. Leave a comment below on what you'd like to see. Haha. Just kidding, but not really. But yeah, so this is Dave, and this is my sudden video update. Hope you enjoyed it. And once again, it is super long, and I'm not going to edit it, and it's going to be terrible. But if you enjoy content like this, let me know, and I'll keep making it, even if I hate it. No, I was kidding. I clearly like doing this, but yeah. So it's there it is. I still have trouble ending videos. Fantastic. Great. Bye.